Hello, and welcome to 5 Year Club video number 230. We're going to talk about planning today. And frequently when I talk to people about retiring early, let's see if I can adjust this gain a little bit. It's feeling a bit sensitive. Well, maybe it's the same thing it's ever always been. I don't know. It sounds really loud. I don't know. Anyway, is that mute button on or off? Okay, the blinking means that it was on. All right. People ask me frequently when I talk to them about money. They say something like, especially if they're already on the nerd train, what do you use to budget? And I give them the boring but true answer. I use a spreadsheet. And why do you use a spreadsheet? I use a spreadsheet because I like control. I like knowing exactly how everything adds up. I like being able to phrase the budget however I want. If something needs to be edited, I don't want any rules in my way. I just want to get it done and edit it. And a lot of people, I'd say 80% of people, when I say I use a spreadsheet, they're like, ugh. You know, like, I guess they mean like, I tried that, it was too boring, or I tried that and it was too confusing. Something like that. And like, fair enough, if you don't have the years and years that Lewis has been on a computer, then you probably don't take to spreadsheets as naturally as I do. But regardless of that, A, spreadsheets are a very profitable thing to learn at work, generally speaking, but B, even if you don't use a spreadsheet, you can still use something, and that's way better than nothing. Recently, I've been doing a bunch of preparation for Burning Man, and a big part of that preparation is listing out things that need to happen. And there are a few things I've noticed as I have gone through preparing for the last week or so. Number one is that about half of my tasks, after I finish something on them, birth baby tasks and multiple baby tasks. So I might finish one thing, and then that spawns one thing that needs to be done tomorrow and one thing that needs to be done in 5 days. And so what I do is I add 2 items to my spreadsheet. I date one of them for tomorrow, and I date one of them for 5 days from now, and then I sort the spreadsheet. So the time-sensitive one pops up at the top, and the less time-sensitive one just hangs out 5 days from now. Which means that my planning document is a living entity. Throughout this planning process, you can see tasks change from blue to green, which means like in process to finished. I've got some tasks that are yellow, which means someone who's not me is doing them. I've got some tasks that are just white in color because it's like, don't even worry about this yet. And so this list is like growing, but also resorting itself and also changing color at the same time. I kind of wish I could do a time lapse of it. And it doesn't really feel like a list, because you imagine a list is just like that's the list, something static. This is like a planning organism. It's like a cuttlefish of organization. And the final thing I've noticed is that there are certain tasks on my list where I'm like, oh, that sounds really like a lot to do. Making absinthe, that sounds like a lot to do for me. And what I found is that it makes me less anxious when I break it down into multiple tasks that are much more doable. So instead of make absinthe, I'll say something like, go buy alcohol. You know, everyone can do that, you know. Go buy, you know, go find out what the top 3 ingredients are for absinthe and then purchase those spices. Okay, I can type that into Amazon. I can purchase the spice. You know, one of them was visit Penzies, which is apparently this fancy spice store in Menlo Park. I saw Menlo Park for the first or second time. I never go to Menlo Park, but it was cool. And I picked out spices where I had no idea what those spices were. And that's what I use in my absinthe. So it's going to be interesting. And yeah, so given all of this, given that the task list is going to be this changing, moving organism, you need a way to implement it that can be a changing, moving organism. And I like spreadsheets a lot, but if spreadsheets aren't your thing, then you can adopt what the agile programming paradigm adopts, right? So agile programming is this term that came up in the last, I don't know, 10 or 20 years, where computer nerds get a lot of stuff done in an environment that changes rapidly. And in the book I read on it early in my career, they said, get some index cards, write down a task on each index card, and then put them on a cork board, like next to the time when they need to be finished by or something like that. And that's how you'll keep track of your computer tasks, which is kind of hilarious, right? Because here you have a planning system that is specifically meant for the nerdiest of computer nerds, and instead of using a spreadsheet, they use just plain old index cards. And you can too! You know, whatever works. It's not really important, the medium. It's more important that you actually just spend time on it, that you resort things, and that you break things down into subparts when they look too annoying. All right, well, that is it for 5-Year Club video number 230. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you will also call your task list a cuddlefish, and have a fabulous evening.